Do you feel like you don't speak enough Hebrew? That you need to know more words? Then stick around. With these lessons, you'll pick up some of the most common words in just a few minutes. Now, this video is a small portion of our learning program. To get the full lessons, translations, and Fluency Fast study tools, click the link in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account.
Hi everybody, Yana here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Hebrew questions. The question for this lesson is, just what is the difference between biblical and modern Hebrew? Now, you may be attracted to Hebrew for any number of reasons. Perhaps you want to communicate with friends or family, or maybe you're interested in studying the many religious and classical texts written in Hebrew. Depending on your reasons for learning Hebrew, you may end up learning one of two very different languages. Biblical or classical Hebrew was an ancient language that first emerged in the 10th century BC. Over the next centuries, the ancient Hebrew people used it to communicate and to take a record of their history, religion, philosophy, poetry, and culture. A portion of this literary record formed the basis of Hebrew scriptures and also what came to be called the Bible. During the Roman period, the language evolved beyond recognition and later fell out of use in daily life, but it lived on in religious contexts. Hebrew experienced a revival in the late 19th century as part of the larger Zionist movement. Thanks to the effort of Eliezer ben Yehuda, who prepared the first modern Hebrew dictionary, people started using Hebrew again to communicate with one another as they went about their lives. But because of the influence of European languages, Hebrew changed. Grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, not a single aspect of the language went untouched by the transformation. And like any other modern language, Hebrew continues to change. So, for example, the word I or me in biblical Hebrew is Anochi. This same word has changed in modern Hebrew to Ani. Besides this change in pronunciation, modern Hebrew got a lot of new words from languages like French and German. For example, the word concrete or beton came from French, while schnitzel or schnitzel came from German. And of course, there are new words to describe things that did not exist in ancient times, like electricity, chashmal, computer, machshev, car, mechonit, telephone, telephone. At this point in history, someone familiar only with biblical Hebrew would not be able to communicate very well with contemporary native speakers. At the same time, a modern Hebrew speaker cannot easily read the Bible. How was it? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Lehitraot!
In this video, you'll learn 20 of the most common words and phrases in Hebrew. Hi everybody, my name is Idit. Welcome to the 800 Core Hebrew Words and Phrases video series. This series will teach you the 800 most common words and phrases in Hebrew. But there's a twist. With each new lesson in this series, we'll include the previous lessons at the end. So, after you've learned the new words and phrases, stick around and review what you've learned in previous lessons. Reviewing is one of the most important parts of learning a language. You can also get the full list right now at HebrewPod101.com. Click the link in the description to access more example sentences, create your own flashcard deck, and finally master Hebrew. Okay, let's get started. First is Shalom. Hello. Shalom. Shalom. Hello. היא אומרת שלום. She is saying hello. היא אומרת שלום. סליחה. Excuse me. סליחה. סליחה. Excuse me. סליחה. ראית את הכלב שלי? Excuse me. Have you seen my dog? סליחה. ראית את הכלב שלי? אני מצטערת. I'm sorry. אני מצטערת. אני מצטערת. I'm sorry. אני מצטערת. הוא לא נמצא כאן כרגע. I'm sorry. He is not here right now. אני מצטערת. הוא לא נמצא כאן כרגע. לילה טוב. Good night. לילה טוב. לילה טוב. Good night. כשאת הולכת לישון, את יכולה להגיד לי לילה טוב. When you go to sleep, you can tell me good night. כשאת הולכת לישון, את יכולה להגיד לי לילה טוב. נעים מאוד. Nice to meet you. נעים מאוד. נעים מאוד. Nice to meet you. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך, אדוני. Nice to meet you, sir. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך, אדוני. מה שלומך? How are you? מה שלומך? מה שלומך? How are you? שלום, מה שלומך? Hello, how are you? שלום, מה שלומך? כן. Yes. כן. כן. Yes. כן. אני ישראלית. Yes, I'm Israeli. כן. אני ישראלית. לא. No. לא. לא. No. אוי לא. השארתי משהו על הקיריים. Oh no. I left something on the stove. אוי לא. השארתי משהו על הקיריים. תודה. Thank you. תודה. תודה. Thank you. תודה על העזרה. Thank you for your help. תודה על העזרה. אני 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 ליסה. I am Lisa. אני ליסה. Shalom. Goodbye. Shalom. Shalom. Goodbye. Shalom. להתראות בקרוב. Goodbye. See you soon. שלום. להתראות בקרוב. רע. bad. רע. רע. bad. האיש רע. The man is bad. האיש רע. טוב. good. טוב. טוב. good. היא בן אדם טוב. She is a good person. היא בן אדם טוב. יפה. pretty. יפה. יפה. pretty. את יפה מאוד. You are very pretty. את יפה מאוד. מכוער. ugly. מכוער. מכוער. ugly. הכלב הזה מכוער מאוד. That is a very ugly dog. הכלב הזה מכוער מאוד. קל. easy. קל. קל. easy. המבחן היה קל. The test was easy. המבחן היה קל. קשה. difficult. קשה. קשה. difficult. אנגלית היא שפה קשה. English is a difficult language. אנגלית היא שפה קשה. קרוב. near. קרוב. קרוב. near. אני גרה קרוב לאוניברסיטה. I live near the university. אני גרה קרוב לאוניברסיטה. רחוק. far. רחוק. רחוק. far. התחנה נמצאת רחוק מכאן. The station is far from here. התחנה נמצאת רחוק מכאן. קטן. small. קטן. קטן. small. המכונית קטנה, אבל היא עוצמתית מאוד. The car is small, but it's very powerful. המכונית קטנה, אבל היא עוצמתית מאוד. Well done! In this lesson, you expanded your vocabulary and learned 20 new useful words. Click the link in the description and sign up for free at HebrewPod101.com to get access to the full list of vocabulary you need for daily life conversations. You'll also get example sentences, custom flashcard decks, and more learning resources. See you next time. Shalom!
Now, if you're wondering how to remember these words forever so that you can start speaking more and more, here's how. 1. Review them with our spaced repetition flashcards. Our flashcards will drill these words into your long-term memory. 2. Save the words to our word bank, your personal collection of words, where you can print out physical study sheets. And 3. Watch our looped vocabulary slideshows on repeat until you understand every word. You'll find these tools inside our learning program. Just click the link in the description to get them.
שלום, אני אנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's א' ב' בקלי קלות. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. In the last lesson, we learned the 6th Hebrew letter Vav and 3 new Nikud. Do you remember how to write David and uncle? What about electric water heater? In this lesson, we will learn 2 new Hebrew letters. So let's move on with the 7th letter Zayin. The sound is Z. Let's write it in handwriting first. Does it look familiar? You might be reminded of the 3rd letter Gimel in handwriting. Yes, you are right. They are the mirror images of each other. But don't get confused between them. Gimel faces this way. Zayin faces this way. Okay, how about the print version? Fortunately, this one will be hard to confuse with the print version of Gimel. Even though they are pretty different in print, make sure you don't write Zayin and Vav in too similar a way. Let's see the difference. Vav, Zayin. Zvuv is a fly in Hebrew. Zvuv. And in print, Zvuv. You can easily remember this word since the fly makes this sound. Zvz. Let's move on. If you write Zayin with a comma on the left side, it will sound like zh, as in the word journal or collage. First you write Zayin and then add the comma on the upper left side. In print, usually the letter J is used for foreign words like jaquette, a jacket, journal, a journal, and so forth. Now we move on to the 8th letter, Chet. This has the sound of Ch, and it is written like this. For the handwriting, keep the corners round. And in print, Chet. Almost the same, right? Always the print version will have sharper corners than the handwriting version. Ach is a brother in Hebrew. Ach. The pronunciation is important. Try to pronounce it more glottally from your throat. Chava is a farm. Chava. Here the handwriting and the print versions are almost the same. Let's write them. Chava. In print, Chava. Now it's time for Yana's insights. When writing Hebrew Aleph Bet, always start from the top. both in hand and print writing. In this lesson, we studied two new Hebrew letters, Zayin and Chet, with a variation of Je. Did you know that you have already mastered a third of the complete Hebrew Aleph Bet and the Nikud system? Good job! But how do you write good in Hebrew? In the next lesson, we will learn this and two new letters plus one Nikud. See you then, Lehitraot!
Hi everyone, my name is Yara, and today we're going to talk about top Hebrew verbs, which are very useful verbs that will help you in everyday life in your next visit in Israel. Yay! Lalechet, to go. Lalechet also means to walk. Lalechet baregel, to walk by foot. So you can use it as to go on a trip, lalechet letiyul, to go home, lalechet habayta, lavo, to come. Lavo, to come, like, are you coming to the party? את באה למסיבה? Are you planning to come to the party? את מתכננת לבוא למסיבה? Come to the party, it'll be fun. להגיד, to say. להגיד, אני רוצה להגיד לך משהו. I want to tell you something. You can only use this verb in this form, at least in modern Hebrew. להגיד, to say. You can't use it as I said. It doesn't work like that, only in the infinitive form. להגיד, to say. לשמוע, to hear. בערב אפשר לשמוע את הצפרדעים. In the evening, you can hear the frogs. לשמוע. לעשות, to do, to make. לעשות means to do, but it also means to make. Like לעשות בלגן, to make a mess. אל תעשה בלגן, don't make a mess. Or like, don't make a big deal. אל תעשה עניין. לקחת, to take. You can use that, like in English, to take medicine, or to take something from one place to another, to take it back. היה לי כאב ראש, אז לקחתי כדור. I had a headache, so I took a pill. לרצות, to want. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a dancer. כשהייתי קטנה, רציתי להיות רקדנית. רציתי is the first person past tense of לרצות. לחכות, to wait, like to wait in line. לחכות בתור. חיכיתי שעות בתור לפלאפל. I waited for hours in the line for the falafel. Oh, don't worry, it never happens. לקנות, to buy. אין לי כסף, אז אני לא יכולה לקנות כלום. I don't have money, so I can't buy anything. לדעת, to know. How could I know? איך הייתי יכולה לדעת? להיות, to be. כשאני אהיה גדולה, אני רוצה להיות רופאה. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor. להיות. לתת, to give. רציתי לתת לך מתנה. I wanted to give you a present. לחשוב, to think. You should try thinking about other people too. אתה צריך לנסות לחשוב גם על אנשים אחרים. להרגיש, to feel. Did you feel the earthquake? הרגשת את רעידת האדמה? לאהוב, to love. I love cats. אני אוהבת חתולים. I love other stuff too, but like cats are my favorite thing in the world, so. אני אוהבת חתולים. For a male speaker, it would be אני אוהב חתולים. Because who doesn't love cats? Yes. לעזוב, to leave, to let go. אני לא רוצה לעזוב את הבית. I don't want to leave home. אל תעזוב את המעקה. Don't let go of the handrail. לעזוב. לעבוד, to work. I don't like working on weekends. אני לא אוהבת לעבוד בסופי שבוע. Nobody does. לנסות, to try. תמשיכי לנסות, בסוף זה יעבוד. Keep trying. Eventually it will work. Hopefully. לקבל, to receive. אני אוהבת לקבל מתנות. I love receiving presents. לקבל is to receive, but it can also sometimes mean to get something, to get what you deserve. לקבל מה שמגיע לך. In Hebrew, you can also say לקבל מכות, which means to get beat up, and it literally means to receive beating. Can you say that? That's like, whatever. לדבר, to speak. תפסיק לדבר, אני לא יכולה לשמוע אותך כבר. Stop talking, I can't hear you anymore. לחפש, to search. I've been searching for my glasses for days. אני מחפשת את המשקפיים שלי כבר כמה ימים. למצוא, to find. If you ever watched any Disney movie, you'll know this sentence. למצוא אהבת אמת. To find true love. Aww. Obviously, you can also use it to find, objects. To find your glasses. למצוא את המשקפיים שלך. Yeah, I don't do that very often. I look for them a lot. I don't find them very often. להתקשר, to call. This word literally means to contact, but these days, like in modern Hebrew, you only use it to say to call someone on the phone. ניסיתי להתקשר אלייך, אבל לא ענית. I tried calling you, but you didn't answer. Like if you call someone on the street, hey, that's not להתקשר. להתקשר is only on the phone. לאכול, to eat. מה אתה רוצה לאכול? What do you want to eat? And while you're in Israel, make sure to go and have falafel. Go eat falafel. לכו לאכול falafel. לישון, to sleep. לילה טוב, אני הולכת לישון. Good night, I'm going to sleep. Okay, good night, I'm going to sleep. Yes. Sleep. לישון. Okay, that was the end. Thank you so much for watching Top Hebrew Verbs. Which verb do you use the most? Tell us in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Bye. Ah, now I get it. It's so hot in here. Yes.
Shalom, אני יאנה. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's עברית ב3 דקות. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned the numbers from 1 to 10. Have you forgotten? Here, I'll tell you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you remember how to say your phone number? And now let's continue from 11. 11 11 12 12 13 13 14 14 15 15 16 16 17 17 18 18 19 19 and finally we have 20 20. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20. These numbers may seem harder to remember, but you really just have to memorize slight changes in pronunciation of 1 to 10 and just add esre after numbers starting from 10. Let's not stop at 20. Counting from 11 to 100 is super easy. Now I'll give you the tens. 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, 100, 100. While you have to memorize a few of these numbers, there are a couple of tricks that will make memorizing them incredibly easy. All the tens are basically the numbers 1 to 10 with slight changes, but always end up with im. For example, 3 is 3 and 30 is 30. 3, 30. Let's take another example. Do you remember what 5 is? 5. So to make it 50, you change it to 50. 5, 50. And 8 will make 80. 8, 80. The last thing to learn today is how to form compound numbers above 20. This is also super easy. Take the tens and simply add the numbers you learned in the previous lesson. But don't forget to add ve when you're making compound numbers over 20. Ve means and. So basically, if you count 22, you say 22, meaning 20 and 2. It is very important, so don't forget that. Let's try it out. How would you say 56 in Hebrew? Let's take it step by step. 50 is 50, and then add the tiny ve, and 6, 6. 56. After only 2 lessons, you are now able to count to 100 in Hebrew. In the next lesson, we are going to put your number knowledge to use. Do you have all the skills you need to go shopping in Israel? If not, I'll be waiting for you in our next עברית ב3 דקות lesson. להתראות ועד הפעם הבאה.
Remember, here's what you can do to learn all of these words by heart. Drill these words with our spaced repetition flashcards, which will help cement these words into your long-term memory. Save them to the word bank, your personal vocabulary collection, where you can print out your own study sheets, or review the words with our looped vocabulary slideshow, and play it until you know all of the words. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to get these lessons and study tools.
Shalom, אני יאנה. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's עברית ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned some words used when apologizing in Hebrew, including סליחה and אני מצטערת. אני מצטער. In this lesson, we are going to learn numbers in Hebrew. Yes, numbers. מספרים, from 1 to 10. And you are going to learn them in only 3 minutes, ב3 דקות. You already know the first number from last lesson and can make a full sentence. Do you remember? קפה אחד, בבקשה. Ready? Let's start. אחד. אחד. שתיים. שתיים. שלוש. שלוש. ארבע. 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, and 10, 10. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. Ready? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Great job! What is before אחד? Do you know? It's אפס. אפס. You don't have any more excuses. You can give your friends your cell phone number in Hebrew. Let's try together. We'll use the phrase המספר שלי הוא, which means my number is. המספר שלי הוא. המספר שלי הוא 337 122 49 68. Can you read it by yourself? 3 3 7 1 2 2 4 9 6 8. Perfect. Now it's time for Yana's insights. When you travel in Israel, it's a good idea to start paying attention to the bus numbers, street numbers, dates, hours, and the local money, the shekel. It's the best practice to remember. You can start now if you are at your hometown to practice Hebrew numbers in your daily life. Do you know the Hebrew word for 100? In the next lesson, we are going to learn the numbers from 11 to 100 in Hebrew. Your task now is to practice the numbers we studied in this lesson, from 1 till 10. להתראות ועד הפעם הבאה. ביי! Shalom, אני Yana. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's עברית ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Hebrew. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Hebrew, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if the answer is no. As already mentioned in previous lessons, in Hebrew there is a difference between male and female speech. So if you want to ask a woman, say, את מדברת אנגלית? את מדברת אנגלית? In Hebrew, verbs change depending on the pronoun that is used, according to the gender of both the speaker and the addressee. את, in this case, is the female pronoun for you. So the verb מדברת, which means speak, refers to a female. For example, if I said, I speak English, it will be אני מדברת אנגלית. אני, as we learned already, means I am. Ani is the only way you can say I am in Hebrew, regardless of one's gender. Then, מדברת is the female conjugation for speak or speaking. So, אני מדברת אנגלית will be used only by a female speaker. On the other hand, if you're asking a man if he speaks English, you say, אתה מדבר אנגלית? אתה מדבר אנגלית? אתה, in this case, is the male pronoun for you. So the verb מדבר, which means speak, refers to a man only. So if you're a man and want to say, I speak English, it will be אני מדבר אנגלית. It is important to notice that in Hebrew the pronoun and the verb change according to female, male, and also to singular or plural of the same sentence. So basically there are 4 ways to say each phrase. But don't worry, we will talk more about that later. For now, please only remember that you can use both את מדברת אנגלית and אתה מדבר אנגלית only if you're addressing one person. So let's review them once again. את מדברת אנגלית if you're asking a woman, and אתה מדבר אנגלית if you're asking a man. Adding סליחה, excuse me, the sentence becomes even more polite. סליחה, את מדברת אנגלית? סליחה, את מדברת אנגלית? Or, סליחה, אתה מדבר אנגלית? סליחה, אתה מדבר אנגלית? The responses you will receive could be one of these 3. כן, yes, כן. קצת, a little. קצת. לא, אני לא מדבר אנגלית. Or, לא, אני לא מדברת אנגלית. No, I don't speak English. לא, אני לא מדבר אנגלית. לא, אני לא מדברת אנגלית. To make every sentence negative in Hebrew, you only have to add לא before the verb, which simply means no. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Yana's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Israeli people study other European languages at school, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute Anglit with Russit for Russian, Italkit for Italian, Sfaradit for Spanish, and Germanit for German. In this lesson, we mentioned the expression slicha. But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Hebrew. It's never too late to show your good manners with Israeli people. I'll see you in the next עברית ב3 דקות lesson. להתראות! שלום, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's א' ב' בקלי קלות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. In the last lesson, we learned the 3rd and 4th Hebrew letters, Gimel and Dalet. Do you remember how to write fish? And what about roof? In this lesson, we will learn how to write the word for love in Hebrew. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The 5th Hebrew letter is Hey. Hey sound is Ha, but it can also sound like Ah. You will see how it changes in a second. Let's first write it in handwriting. Hey. The print version is very similar. Hey. Make sure to keep Hey curved while handwriting, but use sharp angles in print. So, as I mentioned, Hey can sound like both Ha and Ah. The word Ahava uses it in both ways. When Hey appears in the end of the word, it will always sound as Ah. Ahava is love in Hebrew. Let's try to write it down. Ah, pronounced Ha. Remember the sound here is V, so we don't need a dot of bet. Pronounce A. Let's do it once more in handwriting. Ahava. Ahava. Isn't it a beautiful word with a beautiful curved shape? Now let's do it in print. A. Ha. Va. So if you want to add the full nikud for this word, we need to use a new nikud symbol, patach. Just like kamatz from last lesson, patach has the sound of A. Now remember, when you write in modern Hebrew, you don't need to use the Nikud system. It is there mostly for you to read, especially when learning new vocabulary, or if you want to study the Hebrew Bible. Now let's spell Ahava with the full Nikud. Ahava. A-ha-va. Ahava. Here's the print version. Here you saw how the letter Hey can sound in two different ways. So you already know 5 Hebrew letters and several words. Don't forget to practice the characters in both handwriting and print. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Doesn't hey from this lesson sound like hey in English? When you say hello to your friends? That's exactly the sound for the Hebrew letter hey. Now you can think of the letter hey when saying hello to your friends and memorize it better. In the next lesson, we will see how one word can be pronounced in 3 different ways in Hebrew. It may sound confusing, but remember, you'll have the Nikud to help you. See you next time. Lehitraot! Shalom, ani Yana. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Ivrit ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful to people by saying Toda. In this lesson, we learned some of the most common greetings used in Israel. אתם מוכנים? Are you ready? אז בואו נתחיל. So let's start. The most used greeting is Shalom. Shalom. We also saw it in the first lesson. Shalom simply means hi or hello. It can also mean goodbye. We use it when we meet, but also can use it when we part. Shalom means something like peace, so it makes the greeting very special. It is common to say shalom in both informal and formal situations, and at any time of the day. In the morning, you can also greet people with Boker Tov. Boker Tov, which means good morning. Boker is morning, and Tov is good. During the evening, we also say Erev Tov. Erev Tov. Erev is Hebrew for evening, so Erev Tov means good evening. Boker Tov and Erev Tov are used when we meet someone, but when we leave, we don't say them again. Another way to say goodbye in Hebrew is lehitraot. Le-hit-ra-ot. It is actually more common to use lehitraot than shalom when leaving. But most people in Israel just say bye. Bye! Now you can greet people in many different ways in Hebrew. Let's review them all again. When meeting people in formal and informal situations, shalom. In the morning until the afternoon we say boker tov, and in the evening erev tov. When living in any situation, lehitraot, or simply bye. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Yana's insights. In formal situations, Israeli people commonly greet each other by shaking hands. On the other hand, if we meet someone we are very friendly with, we kiss each other on one cheek. Don't be afraid to do it with your Israeli friends. It's normal. During the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase אתה מדבר אנגלית or את מדברת אנגלית. Do you already know it? We'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our next עברית ב3 דקות lesson. להתראות. Bye! Shalom, אני Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's א' ב' בקלי קלות. the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. In the last lesson, we learned to write the most important word in Hebrew, Ahava, the word for love. Do you remember the nikud for Ahava? If you are not feeling confident about it, review the last lesson before continuing on from here. In this lesson, we will learn one new Hebrew letter and 3 more nikud. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The 6th letter is Vav. The sound of Vav is V or O or U, and it's written like this. That's it. Vav has only one stroke from top to the bottom. The print version is the same for Vav, with only a small difference. In Hebrew, Vav is not only the name of the character, it's also a word by itself. It means a hook. Doesn't Vav look like a hook? You can write this word like this. It's just the letter Vav 2 times. If you want to add nikud, it will look like this. Now we move on to the next nikud symbol, chirik, with a sound I, like in C. It's just 1 dot under the letter, I. Now you can write a very common name, one that belongs to the second and perhaps most famous king of the ancient kingdom of Israel, David. It's written with 2 dalet and 1 vav. The nikud here is important, otherwise it can have different pronunciation and meaning. Let's write this word. David. And now in print. David. The next nikud for this lesson is shuruk, with a sound U. This is how you make Vav sound like U. For example, if we take the same letters from David and instead of chirik we add shuruk, it will be dud, electric water heater. Perhaps now you can appreciate the power of learning the nikud when you're first studying Hebrew. Let's write this word. Dud. And now in print. Dud. Notice how shuruk goes to the left of the vav. Seem complicated? Don't worry, we will review them all at the end of this lesson. But not before we will learn the last nikud for today. Cholam maleh, with a sound of O. This is how you make vav sound like O. Let's write this. D, O, D. Dod. And now in print. Dod. Notice that cholam maleh appears above the vav. Now, shuruk and cholam maleh are only written with the letter vav and not with any other letter. Chirik, however, will appear below other letters. Now let's see all the last 3 examples together and make sense of them. First, we had David, Dud, and Dod. Now let's have a short quiz. I'll show you the nikud symbol next to a letter and you have to pronounce its sound. Ready? A, U, I, O, A. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Since you will not see any nikud in modern readings in Israel, you will have to guess by the context of the sentence which pronunciation and meaning it has. It all comes with the experience of studying Hebrew vocabulary. Another tip is when writing the letter Vav, it is important to keep the length of the stroke inside the frame. Otherwise, it becomes a different letter. But that's for later. So in this lesson, we studied the letter Vav and 3 nikud in Hebrew. Chirik, shuruk, and cholam maleh. In the next lesson, we will learn 2 more Hebrew letters, Zayin and Chet. See you then. Bye! Shalom, אני Anna. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Aleph Bet Bekalei Kalut, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. Over the next 20 lessons, you'll learn everything there is to know about reading and writing Hebrew. By the end, you'll even be able to read some portions of the Hebrew Bible. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. Hebrew has only one alphabet of 22 letters, so it's super easy. Once you know these, a few variations and a simple vowel system, you will be ready to read one of the most ancient languages in the world. As you may know, the Hebrew writing system is written from right to left. At first, this may seem intimidating or confusing, but you'll get the hang of it in no time. Let's start with the first letter, Aleph. What sound does Aleph make? In Hebrew, the name of each letter starts with the sound you use to pronounce it, which means the sound of Aleph is A. It is handwritten like this. Now, in Hebrew, there are always two ways to write a letter, the written way, which is used in everyday handwriting, and the print way, which you will see in books and newspapers, on signs, and so forth. This is the written way. The print version looks like this. When Israeli kids first learn how to write, they use this print typewriting. It's useful, and as you'll see later, very easy to learn both versions of every letter. Let's do it again. Here's the written form. And here's the print form. You can now write your first letter in Hebrew. Good, let's move on. The second character is bet. The sound of bet is B, and it looks like this. Pay attention to the dot. It has to be in the middle. The print version is like this. If you leave out the dot, bet becomes vet. The sound of vet is V, but we don't count vet as a separate letter in the alphabet. So far, you've studied two letters of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, and you've learned three sounds. Want to write them once again? Let's do it. Okay, here is Aleph. This is handwritten. Aleph in print. And now Bet, handwritten. And Bet in print. Then Vet, handwritten. Vet in print style. Did you know you can already write a word in Hebrew? This is Abba. Abba in Hebrew means father. It is the first word every Israeli baby says. These are the simplest phonetic sounds. Try it out. Abba in handwriting. And now the print style. Abba. Great job! In this lesson, you learned the first two letters of the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph, Bet. You also practice your first word, in both print and writing styles. Before we move on to the next lesson, I want to introduce the Hebrew vowel system. Among 22 Hebrew letters, there are 5 vowels, one of which we learned in this lesson. But beside those 5, there is another vowel system called Nikud. Nikud are a series of dots or points that are used to indicate vowel sounds connected to consonants. Once you have more experience reading Hebrew, you may not see these symbols so often in native texts. But if you can master them when you start learning Hebrew, it will make learning Hebrew much faster, and easier. Then it could take the form of dots, lines, and combinations of the two, and are written in, under, on top, or beside consonant letters. Sound complicated? Don't worry, we'll take it slowly, and by the end of this series, they will seem easy. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Have you been writing as you watch? Hope so. There is no better way to master the alphabet quickly than to write them yourself. I also recommend that you make flashcards for each letter and study them whenever you get a chance. Do you know how to write dag, the word for fish, in Hebrew? It will definitely come in handy when you read a menu in Israel. And you learn that and much more in the next lesson. Lehitraot! Welcome to HebrewPod1on1.com's עברית ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. Hi, I'm Yana. It's a pleasure to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Hebrew expressions. It's super easy, and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to introduce yourself in Hebrew. In Hebrew, there is no formal and informal language. You can use this introduction in both cases and keep it simple. However, in Hebrew, there is a difference between male and female language. Let's first see how Israeli people introduce themselves in a simple way. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. Hi, I'm Yana. It's a pleasure. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. Start by saying Shalom, אני, then saying your name. Shalom, אני Yana. Finally say נעים מאוד. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. And now let's see the same sentence if you wish to be more specific in addressing the person you are introduced to. If you're introducing yourself to a woman, you should say Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. Hi, I'm Yana. It's a pleasure to meet you. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. If you are talking to a man, you should say Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. Hi, I'm Yana. It's a pleasure to meet you. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. So, what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at this together. The last part of the introduction has been changed based on the gender of the person you are talking to. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך for a woman versus Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך for a man. אני, in this case, has not been changed, and in both cases stands for I am, regardless of your gender. The last sounds of the last word changes, however. אותך, if you are talking to a woman, and אותך, if you are speaking to a man. One more time. The simple way to introduce yourself in Hebrew is Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. In case you want to personalize the greeting, you say Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. Now it's time for Yana's insights. When you introduce yourself, it's a good habit to shake hands in Israel. If you don't want to worry about using the right word for men and women, just say נעים מאוד, as I said at the beginning of this lesson. There is no cultural importance if you add the last part to the introduction. It just makes the sentence more complete. Do you know how to say thank you in Hebrew? You will learn how to say this and many other words in the next lesson. עד הפעם הבאה. Till next time.
Hi everyone, my name is Yara, and today we're going to do top Hebrew phrases. These are very useful phrases you're going to hear a lot when you come to Israel, so make sure to memorize them. Okay, let's start. Shalom. Hello. Shalom literally means peace, but we use it also as a greeting. Shalom. Ma nishma? How are you? That's a very casual way of asking how are you, and it literally means what is heard. Like what have you been up to, what's going on with you. Ma nishma? Toda. Thanks. And probably the only way to say it, we don't have like thanks or thank you, it's just toda. Bevakasha. Please. Bevakasha, it means please, but it can also mean there you go. So you can say, אפשר לקבל מים, בבקשה? Can I have water, please? And when you give someone water, you can also say, בבקשה. There you go. סליחה. Excuse me. It means excuse me or sorry. So when you like push through people in the bus, you can go, סליחה, סליחה, סליחה. But when you step on someone on the bus, you can also say, אוי, סליחה, I'm sorry. להתראות. See you. It literally means to see each other again. So it's like, to see each other again. להתראות. It's also very casual. בסדר. Okay. This is a very, very useful word. You can say it when someone asks you, how are you? בסדר. You can say it to show you understand something. When someone gives you direction, you're like, בסדר. It literally means in order, like everything's in order. טוב, fine. Most of the time it means fine. Literally it means good. A lot like בסדר. How are you? טוב. To respond to a direction, like go that way, please. טוב. Fine, I understand. על לא דבר. You're welcome. We use it as you're welcome, and it literally means, oh, for nothing. Thank you. Oh, על לא דבר. It was nothing. It's maybe a bit more formal than בבקשה. Most of the times when people say תודה, you answer בבקשה. You can also answer על לא דבר. It's pretty much the same, though בבקשה is a bit more common. בוקר טוב. Good morning. בוקר טוב, which literally means good morning, and you obviously use it in the morning. בוקר טוב. לילה טוב. Good night. So yeah, good night you can say when you leave a party at night, you know, you can say, okay, bye, good night, לילה טוב. צהריים טובים. Good afternoon. צהריים טובים. Good afternoon. You can definitely say that, but you don't hear it that often. It literally means good noon. מה שמך? What's your name? For a male, it would be מה שמך. For a female, מה שמך? What is your name? You can also ask, איך קוראים לך? Which literally means how are you called? And this is the most common way to ask. נעים להכיר. Nice to meet you. Literally, I guess it would mean pleasant. It is pleasant to meet you. And you can say נעים להכיר אותך for a woman, or נעים להכיר אותך for a man. איפה? Where? איפה התחנה? Where is the station? איפה is very important. You should memorize this one. אני מבין. I see. For a woman, it would be אני מבינה. I understand, I see. אני מבינה. מה השעה? What time is it? The literal translation would be, what is the hour? This is how you ask. סליחה, מה השעה? Excuse me, what time is it? אפשר בבקשה לקבל? Can I please have? אפשר בבקשה לקבל מים? Can I please have some water? And this would be the same for a male speaker and for a female speaker. אפשר בבקשה לקבל? איפה השירותים? Where's the restroom? איפה השירותים? Where's the restroom? שירותים is restroom. איפה השירותים? Another one to memorize. אני מצטער. I'm sorry. אני מצטער. Or for a female speaker, אני מצטערת. אני מצטערת להפריע. I'm sorry to interrupt. כן. Yes. You can use it in any way you use yes. Yeah, use it. Be positive. לא, no. I like this word. It has a fun sound, and it was my sister's first word. לא, no. בא לי, I feel like. בא לי. It's two words, בא לי, and it means I feel like, I want. And you can also use it as a negative. בא לי גלידה. I feel like ice cream. I want ice cream. לא בא לי ללכת לבית הספר. I don't feel like going to school. So it's very useful. Children use it a lot, but grown-ups use it too. די. Enough. Stop. It sounds really bad, but it's harmless. It means enough or stop. When someone is like bugging you, poking you, like, די. Stop it. Enough. Yeah. כמה זה עולה? How much is it? כמה זה עולה? How much is it? How much does it cost? מעולה. Awesome. Great. I guess maybe the Hebrew equivalent of the word awesome, it's מעולה. The masculine form is מעולה and the feminine is מעולה. Like, ההופעה הזאת מעולה. This show is awesome. It's great. איך היה הטיול? היה מעולה. How was the trip? It was מעולה. Great, awesome. Okay, that's it for today for top Hebrew phrases. Thank you so much for watching. And what is your favorite Hebrew phrase? Tell us on the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye. Phrases. I forgot my name.
Shalom, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Aleph Bet בקלי קלות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. In the last lesson, we learned the first two letters of the Aleph Bet. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we'll move on to the next couple of letters and the first nikud symbol. So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The third letter of the Aleph Bet is Gimel. The sound of Gimel is G. Let's first see how to write it by hand. Gimel in handwriting. And in print it looks like this. Gimel. They look quite different, don't they? But the good news is that you already can write another Hebrew word, Gag. This means roof in handwriting. Gag. And in print it looks like this. Gag. Here you may be a little confused. If you were to see this word written, you might want to read it as gug. There is no vowel sound. In Hebrew, the vowels are often not written. You would know that this word is pronounced gag because it has been taught to you before. And this is why the nikud is so important. The nikud shows learners of the Hebrew language what vowel sound is used in words, but don't rely on them too much. As you get more experienced with Hebrew, you should be able to remember how to read words, even if the nikud is not attached. Now it's time to introduce to you the first nikud. Remember, nikud are small points and lines that are placed in, under, on top, or beside consonants. The first one has the sound A, just like Aleph. This is kamatz, and it looks like this. And it's always written right under the consonant letter. Let's write roof a couple more times while pronouncing its sound, A. So for example, gag in handwriting looks like this. Gag. And in print, gag. Also, the word Abba has kamatz under two of its letters. Abba. And in print version, Abba. So now you can read and write 2 words in Hebrew using the full vowel system. You can adjust the sound of the letter Gimel by writing a comma right here. Now it is read J, as in the name George. First the Gimel, and then the comma on the upper left side. And in print it looks like this. So now let's move to the 4th letter, Daled, with the sound of D. Daled. That's it, just one curve for the handwriting. And Daled in print looks like this. Daled. So let's make another word with the letter Gimel and Daled. Here, Dag means fish. This will come in very handy whenever you are in a restaurant. Let's write it. Da, G. And now in print. Da, G. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Don't get lost in studying and forget the real world. Find Hebrew letters around you. Don't see any alphabet letters around you? Go to HebrewPod101.com and check out the alphabet transcripts for every lesson dialogue. You may not be able to read them all yet, but you can get a feel of how the Hebrew letters are used in real life. Do you know what ahava means? It's the most romantic word in Hebrew. You will be able to write and read this and much more in the next lesson. See you then. Lehitraot. Shalom, אני Yana. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's עברית ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful to people by saying תודה. In this lesson, we learned some of the most common greetings used in Israel. אתם מוכנים? Are you ready? אז בואו נתחיל. So let's start. The most used greeting is Shalom. Shalom. We also saw it in the first lesson. Shalom simply means hi or hello. It can also mean goodbye. We use it when we meet, but also can use it when we part. Shalom means something like peace, so it makes the greeting very special. It is common to say shalom in both informal and formal situations, and at any time of the day. In the morning, you can also greet people with Boker Tov. Boker Tov, which means good morning. Boker is morning, and Tov is good. During the evening, we also say Erev Tov. Erev Tov. Erev is Hebrew for evening, so Erev Tov means good evening. Boker Tov and Erev Tov are used when we meet someone, but when we leave, we don't say them again. Another way to say goodbye in Hebrew is lehitraot. Le-hit-ra-ot. It is actually more common to use lehitraot than shalom when leaving. But most people in Israel just say bye. Bye! Now you can greet people in many different ways in Hebrew. Let's review them all again. When meeting people in formal and informal situations, shalom. In the morning until the afternoon we say boker tov, and in the evening erev tov. When living in any situation, lehitraot, or simply bye. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Yana's insights. In formal situations, Israeli people commonly greet each other by shaking hands. On the other hand, if we meet someone we are very friendly with, we kiss each other on one cheek. Don't be afraid to do it with your Israeli friends. It's normal. During the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase אתה מדבר אנגלית or את מדברת אנגלית. Do you already know it? We'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our next עברית ב3 דקות lesson. להתראות. Bye!
Remember, here's what you can do to learn all of these words by heart. Drill these words with our spaced repetition flashcards, which will help cement these words into your long-term memory. Save them to the word bank, your personal vocabulary collection, where you can print out your own study sheets, or review the words with our looped vocabulary slideshow, and play it until you know all of the words. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to get these lessons and study tools.